Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how you can take one of your candy pieces that you created in Inventor and turn it into something that looks a little bit more like a piece of candy. So you can export it and put it on your package design. So there is my emoji candy piece that was created. I'm going to do a few things here to this. I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to hit this little icon up here, and then as I hover over it, I want to have the whole thing highlighted. Click it, and then I can choose what color I want this to be. So if I want this to be kind of a purpley color for like a grape flavored candy, I'm going to choose a purple color. You guys can pick lemon or lime or cherry or really anything. At this point, I am going to try to get rid of these lines. So depending on what kind of view mode you were in, my mode that I'm currently in is shaded with edges. If you're in shaded, you won't have those, and that doesn't look too bad shaded. I'm going to choose realistic, and it might give it a little bit different appearance. And I'm also, while I'm in this view, I'm going to rotate this around to make it look like it's kind of sitting kind of on the ground. You can also click a little box right there to orient this thing another way. And then I'm going to, while I'm doing this, I'm going to click on this ray tracing. So if you are in realistic mode, it will allow you to also do the ray tracing. And you'll see it go through a little process here, and then out comes a little bit more vivid image of what you had. You can also do some other things here, like select shadows. You can choose all shadows, and it'll watch the ray tracing happen every time you change something. And you can choose the reflections and turn the reflections on. See what that does. You may or may not like some of those features. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. At this point, I am going to choose perspective. Gives me a little bit different look as well. I'm going to try to get this into position. I'm not crazy about these shadows and reflections that are appearing on the ground, only because when I bring them over to my box, it's not going to really look good. So I'm going to take off the ground shadows. See if it... And I'm going to uncheck reflections. There we go. That's what I wanted to get rid of. I wanted to get rid of that stuff underneath it. Alright. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the color of our background to make it white. So in Tools, you have Application Options. If I click on Application Options, I'm going to go to Presentation for my color scheme. So you have to make sure the Color tab is selected. So choose Colors, Presentation, and change this to one color. When you click Apply, you'll see your background goes white. So you can close out of there. Alright, there's the candy I'm going to take over to my box. The tool that I'm going to use is a tool we've used on other things, is the snipping tool. So I'm going to take the snipping tool and just click and drag over. It's okay if it's got a little bit of white background behind it. And then this is copy, or else you could do Control C. Will copy as well. And then I'm going to go into Adobe Illustrator where my box is. I want to paste this thing in, so Control V will paste it onto the sheet, and then using the black arrow up at the top will allow me to resize my candy. If I just click and drag this, I'm going to get kind of a squished version of my candy or a stretched out version of my candy. Edit, undo. But if I hold the Shift button down as I drag, it will maintain its proper proportions. So that's what I want to do. I want to put my piece of candy on my box. I might bring over a few, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. But I don't want this white background around this thing. So I'm going to do a image trace of this. And if I click image trace, you see that it went totally black. So edit, undo image tracing. And I'm going to click this little drop down next to it. And I'm going to choose the high fidelity photo as my option for tracing. And you'll see when I do it that way, it comes out a little bit more realistically. If I zoom in on it, you can see that it's got some shading and stuff that's more cartoony, but that's okay for what we're doing. Alright, after you do a tracing, you want to click expand, and it'll create a bunch of tiny shapes within your picture. And then this third tool down is called a magic wand. What the magic wand tool will do is it'll select any light color. So I'm going to choose the background so that it's picking everything that's white, and then I'm just going to simply click my delete button on my keyboard, and that gets rid of all of the white background. When you go to select this thing now, you can move it around, you can rescale it some more just by holding shift. Then when you click off it, you'll see what it looks like. So now I have a piece of my candy on my box, and you could do that with the 4 pieces of candy that you designed. You don't have to do your whole groups, just your 4 pieces of candy onto your box, and that's it.